Welcome to the Social Work Rants podcast, providing a platform for social workers to share their stories. The podcast covers a wide range of topics, including mental health, social justice, policy, and the day to day realities of the profession. Season 10 will continue to focus on the intersectionality of mental health and finances. Hope you enjoy. Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of season 10 of the Social Work Rants podcast. I'm your host, Bash Moreno. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. Continue to follow the podcast on Instagram at the Social Work Rants podcast. That is all one word. Still on X at Social Work Rants and Facebook. Hit that like button, type in the Social Work Rants podcast, and hit that red YouTube subscribe button and watch the YouTube channel. All the videos of the podcast episodes are up. And of course, however you listen to the podcast, download, share episodes, listen if you're on listen to Spotify, you can actually leave comments on episodes. So yeah, rate them and let people know about the different podcast episodes. So shout out to everybody that's been supporting these last 5 years. Do my disclaimer, since I always forget to do disclaimer. This podcast is not to be used for psychological purposes or any as a substitute for individual therapy. If you need any type of mental health support, call 988, call 911, go to your nearest emergency room. If you have a therapist, call your therapist. If you have a psychiatrist, call your psychiatrist. For my out of the country viewers and listeners, whatever your emergency phone number is, use that. If you do have a mental health emergency, is okay. Not to be okay, but definitely get the help that you need. My guest at this time, Teddy Nguyen. How you doing, my friend?
How's it going? Glad I could be here. I appreciate it. It's going well.
Good. I'm glad we can make this happen. Talk about finances and business talk. So they don't teach us anything about business stuff, marketing or taxes or anything like that in social work grad schools. So I always like to tap in every once in a while or regarding no finances is important. We are officially in tax season, so I know people like to wait last minute to do their taxes. So I'm in the process of getting my stuff together so I can file, so I could um, get get my money before Elon cuts more IRS workers.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, that's a really interesting point that you brought up because I mean a lot of, y'all social workers who are watching want to start a business or really get savvy with money, but they don't teach any of that. They hardly teach in high school, right? So I think that's a really interesting conversation to have about ourselves as helpers and like taking care of our own finances so that we can pursue the right career in social work, start the business, and do all that stuff. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
yeah, so I know you do you know, financial coaching, money coaching. Just for people who don't know who you are, just give a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Teddy. I am a social worker, but I started my practice as a financial coach about 2 years ago. The term financial coach and money coach are used pretty interchangeably, just depending on what kind of market you're trying to reach. But yeah, I've always loved personal finance ever since I was a kid. After buying my first house, getting into retirement, getting my first big boy job, right, in social work, uh, finding that like I love this personal finance stuff. I love the life change that comes with what we do in social work. And then I came across this ad about becoming a financial coach, and I had no idea what that was about. But as I was learning more about it, it was this really great blend, at least the way I go about money coaching, this really great blend between like how I practice in social work and just translating that to the language of money instead of making it super like financial, like your finance bros, or just really technical. Just finding that bridge to from that information that we need for personal finance and connecting it to practical steps to pay off the debt, build a savings, start the business, and all that stuff. So with my money coaching practice, I primarily focus on young professionals, so say 20s to 40, getting into your career, you're probably earning the most you ever have, or maybe you're just straight out of college earning a lot of money, yet you still feel like a broke college kid. I really help those kinds of individuals get control of their money to be stress-free with finances. And my tagline for the business is that I help you take control of your money to be your best self at home and at work. And we all know how chronic stress can affect us in our relationships, in our career, with burnout and all that stuff. So, yeah, just a little bit about me and my money coaching practice.
What, what was your first big boys social work role?
So the big boy social work job, I went to university for my bachelor's. And after I chose social work, I was like, let me look at what kind of jobs are out there. And it's no secret. Social workers do not get paid very well, especially at a bachelor's level. And I saw that the best paying fields of social work were like your schools, your hospitals, working with the state. And so I fell into child welfare, which is not something I really planned on, but I really just grew to love it. And now I work with our foster teens and young adults as they're going out into the world, aging out of foster care, and helping them with adult life skills, housing, and all that stuff. So yeah, CPS has been that big boy job for me, and learning how to manage that money and still enjoy life without feeling super restrictive. I think it's been a really fascinating journey to share with other people. So,
Cool. Yeah, definitely. That doesn't really get talked a lot about. Not as much, I think, like it used to be. Just kids aging out of foster care and develop these, these life skills that they need or well, they need them and they just have a hard time. Some of them might have a hard time, with these life skills and just another, challenge in their life, the transition to early adulthood and you know now having like just navigating, applying for like Medicaid, for example, for the first time, and
mhm.
navigating the systems that often fail us in society, and trying to find that first job and whatever that is, and just you may not know what you want to do with your life, and but you need something, you need some pocket money just to live day to day. So that's a lot happening all at once.
Yeah, what I think is really interesting in the field of social work in general, this was before I started working with the teenagers. If you're working homeless services, if you work in hospitals or whatever, you're dealing with your clients' finances too. And if we ourselves cannot be good with our money, then how can we expect to teach our clients or show our clients how to do that? And what I find really interesting is that a lot of the personal finance stuff that I'm showing my clients from 16 to 21, 22 is equally as applicable to all my peers and my family and everyone, right? This whole idea that like financial education is one thing, but applying those concepts to our life is completely different. And yeah, actually, it brings up, it reminds me that I think it's like 2, 3 weeks from now, I'll be presenting at a little conference for some of our foster youth who are aging out on the value of money and knowing
Hmm.
how to think about money, how to respect money as a tool for bettering our life, not just like a gift or a prize money when we get that paycheck and blow it on whatever, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, teenagers, young adults, older adults, we all struggle with personal finance in some dimension. And I want to say probably like 30, 40% of y'all that are listening probably have some kind of student loan you're dealing with. And that itself is like a pain in the neck. So, yeah, this whole idea of knowing about personal finance and applying it to our life so that we could be financially well is so important. It's probably like one of the most important types of self-care we could practice in order to serve our clients well. So,
No, absolutely. I remember I was working with the severely mentally ill population, and like I was trying to teach them budgeting money, but I wasn't even budgeting my damn self, my own personal life, and I'm like, making sure like my clients is not blowing their SSI check like that first weekend of the month. The first of the month comes in and we already gotta like, you know, make sure we catching the clients as soon as they cash their check. That way, like, right, you gotta pay, your phone bills for that and just other bills that you may have, like a portion of your money that has to go to rent and kind of make sure that you're being responsible for your money. Yet, like I was like, uh, having like overdraft, paying for overdraft fees for like for checks, like I was writing or my wife at the time was writing. So it's like it's funny how like we say and do things for clients, and then like we could be applying those same things like you said for us, and we don't do it.
yeah, yeah, I think it's really interesting that like we can know a lot of the things to do. Like for example, with any of clinical social workers out there, chances are you're telling your clients to practice things that you may not practice yourself, right? But as we ourselves apply that to our life and develop ourselves, that I think we can be more in touch with how to communicate better for budgeting or for mental health and all these things. But you brought up an interesting point about that SSI check. So I used to work in homeless services. I worked at a shelter and I did some case management stuff there. And I had this one particular client, really lovely lady, and she was on disability, getting like $600 a month. And really the goal was trying to get her into some kind of stable living. If we could find her a place that's like $400 a month or something, shared housing, something like that, it would be great, right? And she would stay at her shelter for maybe like 2 to 3 months at a time. She's helping around, she's, volunteering and all these things. And I get a package one day and it's addressed to her. I'm like, hey, what is this Amazon package? Like, why are you ordering Amazon to the shelter? And she's like, oh, I saw this fur coat on Amazon and it just looked really pretty and I wanted to get it. And I mean, it was like $80 or whatever, but like, it's not, I shouldn't return it. I just might as well keep it. I'm like, girl, that is over 10% of your paycheck for this one coat. Like, but I think that really goes to show it wasn't just with her. Like we do it all the time with ourselves,
Mm,
with buying a new car or buying a house we can't afford, or upgrading to the newest phone and having to finance it all the time. Like are not different at all. It's just different scales of what we're spending on and how we're interacting with our money. So I think that's a really funny thing to witness because I myself fall victim to that too, right?
yeah, it's a fine line of like balancing. Yes, you want to live your life how you want to live your life at the same time, everything is so expensive, depending on the state, city you live in, though the gas is ridiculous, or it has been for the last year, couple of years, and obviously food prices are ridiculous, not just eggs, but like everything. Housing is extremely expensive. Doesn't matter where you live in the United States, like it's really, really ridiculous. And so it's like, hey, there's a concert I want to go to. Like, let me like shell out however much is going to cost, and like so it's a balance to it. Like I I joke around with like my friends and stuff like you don't need to see Beyonce this time around to pay that much money. And those who know me know I'm a huge wrestling fan, and like I saw those WrestleMania tickets, and like I ain't going to WrestleMania paying three, four, $500 for nosebleed seats, or a couple thousand for seats, and so it's living in the United States is extremely expensive as we stand right now, and is potentially to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, what I think is really interesting too about like the state of the economy in general, with our income, like social work income, I'm fairly certain I have to look at the data on it, but like the the cost of living raise for any like social work profession hardly ever keeps up with inflation or something like that. And I think that highlights the importance of us as social workers being responsible for like seeking out opportunities to continue doing work we love, but also that are financially like they make sense. And what I think is insane is that I'm looking at some of these social work jobs, either master's level or bachelor's level, and it's like $20 an hour. Y'all, like we can make $20 an hour in a warehouse, right, with no degree, and that
Mhm.
baffles me. But there's definitely opportunity for social workers to move forward in their field, um, and like find those promotional opportunities and whatever. And I think it's just really important that we can take ownership for some of those job opportunities. I think the way I got into the social work field, I was super blessed to, find those opportunities, like the way I think on jobs and stuff like that, that I know how to ask for the raise. I know how to get those, like find the jobs that fit my skill set, but also pay better and things like that. And I feel like with a lot of the interactions I've had in the social work field, we're really strong advocates for our clients and their best interest, but we often kind of like set ourselves aside and forget that we need to
Mhm.
advocate for our own well-being too. And one of the biggest and most impactful analogies and mental images that a mentor shared with me, and we hear it all the time. And I think we hear it so much that it's like almost watered down, but like we cannot pour from an empty cup, right? If like we are struggling with debt, we're fighting with our spouse about finances, we're seeing those afterpay payments come through or Sally Mae or whatever it is, like we're not going to be our best self for work. We're going to be burnt out. We're going to start resenting our clients and getting compassion fatigue. And so I think it's just so important to get a handle on our personal finance so that we can be better and actually choose to go to work because we like it, not because we have to pay the bills, you know?
No, of course that, and I like just how you framed it about using the skills to ask for that raise or get that job. I know a lot of people, myself included, still struggle at times with transferable skills to get. We may not have to do a quote unquote clinical job or anything like case management stuff, and be able to use our skill sets to do other things to make more money. And even you have a master's, you can even have a LMSW, and these jobs still like the money these companies do not want to pay, and it's like you're asking for all these credentials, and working with a tough population, and it's like you got to pay. So, like I even see like now I live in Delaware, I see state jobs and like social work state jobs and working with the state, and I was like, I'm making more now not working with the state. Like it's just like the benefit state benefits is not even worth it. Like it's just, these companies they need to do better with their pay.
Yeah, and like, because if you really look at the salary range for, like, for example, master's level social workers here in Texas, maybe you can expect between 50 to 70,000, um, which, like, for any other master's degree, like a master's in business, master's in nursing, engineering, like they will make way more than that. They'll push six figures and higher. And I think the thing that just as social services in general is that they're heavily funded on grants or through social like public programs and things like that. And so there is that bottleneck of like we can only pay our helpers so much no, despite how many degrees they have, how qualified they are. Um, but yeah, like one thing I really want to highlight, especially for a lot of the social workers out there who think that like well okay I'll just speak for myself when I was going through the social work program. I just thought I was a little bitty social worker put into the system, and this is all I can do. I can climb up this little corporate ladder or corporate uh, stair step thing, and that was it, that this is just going to be how it is. But yeah, a mentor of mine really pushed me into like the business field. Like he asked me, Teddy, like you have a valuable skill set as a social worker. Absolutely. And maybe you can apply that to something else that isn't a social work job. And so that's how the business started, right?
Mm.
And I encourage anyone here looking to get into clinical social work and running your own practice. That is a business where you can help people and you can make a decent amount of money ethically doing it. Um, or just any kind of business. If it's a
Mm.
coaching business, if it's a podcast, if it's like if you're an author, public speaker, like there's so much you can do with not necessarily the social work degree, but the skill set that you learn through practice and through school. So that's my biggest encouragement to anyone listening, that just because where you are now is your typical 9 to 5 social work job, or maybe you're doing overnights, that there you can definitely break the mold and still use the same skill set and make the money. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely. Like, especially like the way the economy is now, you need a few sources of income from somewhere to even just to live and have a quality of a life that you want to live. So, you mentioned your business and how you got start, kind of started with your mentor, and it's great that you had a mentor that was really on top of you, like to do that. Like how did that relationship start with having a mentor for MSW students or like new grads? Like how did that happen for you?
Yeah, so like I think the way I came across my mentor that really poured into me at the early stages of business, he actually wasn't in the social work field at all. But as I got more into the business and then I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone with networking, talking to people, like I'm like DMing people on social media, just like having conversations now. And what's really interesting is that you never know when that next powerful relationship is going to come in your life. And I think I was working with, I don't know if you've met Laura Swanson at all, but
Yeah,
she has a podcast.
shout out to Lauren. I've been on her podcast, and
Yeah,
she's
the
been on the
Social Work
podcast.
Bubble podcast.
Yep.
And yeah, she was launching kind of like a mentorship, like connection thing called Social Work Neighborhood. And I think that's just so valuable in a field that doesn't highlight the importance of having those mentors in our circle professionally or personally. Um, but yeah, like really having a mentor to not just guide you into the right direction to get your license or find the promotion and things like that, but to really just like challenge us for growth, right? I never thought I can you, talk to a camera by myself, or I never thought I could like appear on any kind of stage or podcast or any of that stuff. Like, the other the other day I was watching some of my old YouTube videos from high school. I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to sound like that. Like, and just having that mentor, many mentors in my life, both in social work and outside of social work, I mean, pushed me to grow as a person. And hopefully some of what they poured into me, I can pour into others,
Mm,
talking about that filling our cup
yeah.
analogy. So, yeah.
No, that's cool. How d- how do you go about finding clients for your business?
Yeah, so when it comes to the money coaching practice, it's still a relatively new field. Like people know that they need help with their personal finance, but it's very confusing as to who to go to, mainly because it's like there's like a heck ton of marketing spend for all types of professions that will promise you the world, make all this money, get rid of your debt. Well, um, like debt consolidations out there. You got bankruptcy attorneys advertising to you. You got life insurance people, financial advisors, and all these people. And it could get really confusing for most people to understand like who is that person I go to help me with the day to day. Like what the heck even is a
Mm,
budget? Like people talk
mm,
about budgets, but no one really knows what that looks like. And the way I've kind of found clients for my money coaching practice is just having conversations about what I do, what I enjoy. And anytime the business is brought up, I always get asked, like, what do you do for business? I'm a money coach. I'm a financial coach. And they're like, oh, I've never heard of that. Like, what do they do? And the analogy I use is like when you are trying to lose weight, like I've gone through many weight loss cycles in my life, and you're thinking about like who do I go to lose weight? You can go to a doctor and get a prescription. You can go to a nutritionist and get a diet plan, but like who is really pushing you to lose the weight, stick to the plan, and all that stuff? It's those personal trainers, it's those weight loss coaches that are by your side, helping you in the weeds of applying these fancy or simple diet principles, exercise principles, so that you actually experience the change in your life. And that's the same thing I do with money. And so being well with money is both includes our relationship with how we spend and all that stuff. But sometimes it's as simple as like, let's earn some more money and let's spend less money. And like, what does that look like? And this is just kind of like a side tip for anyone. Like one of the easiest ways to save money is like just shopping your insurance. No one really cares what insurance company they're with, right? Some people, some of us, I've definitely stayed with the insurance company longer than I should have. And then switching, I sound like a commercial right now. And I fully acknowledge that. But like
but what type of
saving a
insurance is
hundred, like car insurance, home
mm,
insurance, um, and then yeah, like I would save like $100 a month. And my lifestyle doesn't need to change,
mm,
And just finding opportunities like that to form your life around your income so that you're not overspending and you're prioritizing what you're spending on. Like the phrase I use is that I'm helping you spend on the things you care about and save on the things that you don't. No one cares about spending extra on insurance. No one
mm,
cares about unused gym subscriptions. No one cares about buying that, like gift for Uncle Joe, who
mm,
you see once a year, right?
yeah.
And prioritizing to like those deeper relationships that you want to keep with your peers, with your family, or a trip, or just like a conference, something like that. Um, yeah.
No, I like that. Like the importance of, shopping around, or even like the Black Friday stuff that happened during, Christmas, and saved money on my Peacock subscription. Like they offered a better deal, and took the better deal and saved some money that way a month. Like I got a Sirius XM radio, like I listened to, and they offered me a better deal like for Black Friday. I took that, so like literally I'm saving between those two like $20 a month that could go like in my gas. So like my gas money for, or at least part of my gas money for the week. So it's like, little tidbits like, make some changes in in my cable subscription, and save somebody that way. So it's like there's like little tidbits like that if you do the calculation, you really be like, you know, saving something is better than nothing, and like even that money saved could go just into the groceries that since groceries is so freaking expensive currently. So
Yeah, like so one of like the biggest problems I see with us in general as young professionals is this idea, maybe y'all are familiar with the term, maybe not, but it's called lifestyle creep, where as we're earning more money, we end up also spending more money, and
mm,
that turns into this cycle of just like death by a thousand cuts and feeling like, man, I'm earning 40,000, 50, 70,000, $100,000 a year, but you still feel broke and broke like you did 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
mm,
And one of the biggest principles that I've kind of incorporated in my money practice whenever I'm talking to clients is something we're all familiar with as social workers. It's this person and environment perspective of how do we change our behaviors and like how do we view our money in at the context of our life, right? We have different medical factors, we have social factors impacting us, like macroeconomic stuff. We also have like psychological and emotional and all these things that impact us.
mm,
And when it comes to like shaping our life to be financially well, one of the biggest things I found was just changing our like physical or social environment. And I take a lot of this from the kind of like the addiction perspective of behavior change of like if I will down a bag of chips if it's in my kitchen, I should probably stop buying chips and leave them in my kitchen, right?
mm.
If I am overspending on my credit card all the time, maybe I need to get rid of my credit card. Or if
Yeah.
I am, going out every Saturday night with some friends and buying drinks for everyone, perhaps changing the environment where you hang out with your friends or who you hang out with will not
Mm,
only deepen your relationship with those friends, but also you'll save yourself some extra money. So, yeah,
no,
really just
seriously.
that perspective of those little changes in our environment make the biggest difference.
And not yet. I never even looked at the person and environment perspective and talk about you know s- social work, no 101 with that. So I like that. See how which is purposely why I wanted to have the conversation and how to connect like our money stories and it all relates back to social work and we do it on a day to day that we don't even realize we doing it with our clients and like you know especially if you work or you did case management or you work in the hospital and working long-term care and you work as a any type of medical social work you're dealing with it now. Does a person have Medicaid and like do they need to reapply because there might be over income? So there's the old saying that money makes the world go round, and like money does like impacts sometimes how we get paid. Like you mentioned earlier about grants and stuff to just day to day living. So it's definitely important.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to have this conversation. I think I saw fairly recently you had I, I don't was it your financial social work certification that you got?
Yes.
Or was it yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, what I think is just so interesting about that field in general and just what we're trying to pioneer here with starting the business or starting any kind of agency is that like we as social workers are like advocating, and I mentioned this earlier, that we're advocating for um, our clients to break generational cycles, generational trauma, break the mold of like what they've been conditioned in their life through experiences. And I think we ourselves have also been conditioned, and that just highlights the importance that we need to question like what we think is possible, what we could do, all this stuff. I know probably like 20% of the people listening to this podcast right now dream of having a podcast. or like dream of having some kind of business where you're working for yourself, you're, not having to drive into the office at 8 a.m. in the morning, but like you deserve to be well. You deserve to have that business, to start the podcast. And it's not as scary as people think. Like the hardest part really is just hitting record or setting that, first email
Hmm.
announcing the business.
Right.
And then just a series of uncomfortable action. Like you never know what direction that will take you in your life. And yeah, I mean, priority though, like if you can get your household in order, your finances, so that you have the margin, the time margin, but also the money margin in your life to start the business, like imagine what your life can look like, you know?
No, absolutely. Like my writing coach says all the time, abundance is your birthright. So it's we we have to like think like we deserve all of it, all the good things that come our way. Not that may not be just monetary, but just whatever feels good to you. Just go out and do your best to try to get it. So just one day at a time, because I know it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like this is like the impact we can make in the world with a business or with the work that we do seems so small. Um and like we seem so like when we're tunneled into like our life and what we're going through, we all have crap going on in our life as we're trying to help clients and all this stuff. Um, but yeah, I know this is not entirely related to what you were saying, but I forgot what it was that you said that just like triggered this in me. It's this idea that like as we're showing up every day for ourselves and our clients, um, we may think it's just another day in the life of a social worker, but this could be the day that this client remembers 5 years, 10 years from now. Like, I appreciate Bass or I appreciate Teddy for taking that extra step and, sticking their neck out for me or advocating for me. And that just all goes back to highlighting the importance of the work that we do and why we need to take care of ourselves and our finances so that we can do that work and fully enjoy it and fully, um, just be well in general. So,
No, exactly. And for those who don't know of the certification, there is a financial social work certification program. The person, Rita Wilson, she's the founder of Financial Social Work. Um, it's her certification. It is approved by the NESW, so you would after you obviously pay the money for it. It's self-paced. There is a final exam. Once you pay, the final exam is open book. Like you, there's a whole bunch of material that you got to look over. You pass the exam, then you get 20 CEUs plus the certification. So, and there is a financial social work like collective. A couple of the ladies from that collective that have been on the podcast as podcast guests, and also Rita is coming out with a financial social work book that's coming out um, sometime late spring. So yeah, to be on the lookout for that. So just for educational purposes, just letting people know about who may not know exactly of that certification that that exists. So where can people reach out to you, Teddy?
yeah, so I am a little bit of everywhere. So if you're on Instagram or Facebook, TikTok, I'm on there as Money Coach Teddy. And that's just money, like if you look down here, Money Coach Teddy. Um, and I am on the YouTubes too. I'm trying to get better with my YouTube content. And so if you look up Money Coach Teddy, it'll come up as the spending detox with Teddy Nguyen. And the reason why I went with the spending detox as the name of the channel and really just like the name of the programming for my money coaching practice is that it's this idea of like taking out all the toxic money stress, toxic spending cycles, toxic relation stuff with our money so that we can be well. And it takes somewhat of an addiction recovery approach to
Mm,
changing our behaviors. So yeah, the spending detox with Teddy Wynn. If you just want to check out the website, moneycoachteddy.com will take you there. There's some resources there for you. If you're interested in a course, I have a free course available. It's not public access to the website, but if you reach out to me, just say like, "Hey, I heard you talk about a course," then I could just send that over to you. Like, there's no gatekeeping here. So.
cool, awesome. Great talking to you, and all the best with the business.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I had a great time and yeah, best of luck to you too, growing your
Yes.
business. I know you had the book come out too. So, um, yeah, love to see you where you go.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Awesome.